We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, YouTube streaming, and also via Skype. Each one of you is welcome to this live streaming from wherever you are connecting. Sutras of Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. Periphery is flux. It goes on changing on its own. And you need to reestablish yourself in the center. Something which is continuously changing on its own, there is no need to make any effort to change the periphery. You have to allow the periphery, the outer things, to move as it is. If you go on making any effort to change the outer, then nothing will happen. It is like instead of taking the care of the plants, you are taking care of the leaves. The soul of the plant is the roots. Roots is the center of a plant, and leaves and stem are the periphery. Once a proper nourishment is given to the plant, the periphery will keep on getting more and more nourished. But if you start working from the periphery, nothing will happen. So you have to remember this point. The whole point is not to make any effort to change the periphery. Allow the periphery to be as it is. You cannot change it. It is the nature of the periphery to move and change on its own. It cannot remain static. Whatsoever happens to the plant through its leaves and flowers depends on the roots. If a proper nourishment is provided to the roots through the capillary system, roots transport this nourishment to every part of the plant on its periphery. You cannot make it static. The nature of the periphery is flux. It is so. You cannot make it static, and do not waste time and opportunity of life trying to make it static or change in any way. Just know it as a change. Be a witness to it. You will come to feel the innermost center, which is not a change. The world is change. Your personality, your approach, everything changes. Body, mind changes. But that which is within, that which is never born, never dies, does not change. What is the use of struggling to change that is always in a flux and that goes on changing? Tantra says, be re-established in your center. You have become off center. Be aware of the center which is unmoving. Circumferences change because of the distance from the center to the circumference. Allow the whole existence to move. It is not a disturbance at all. It becomes a disturbance only if you cling to it and you try to make it unmoving. When you are falling into absurdities, foolish efforts, they will not succeed. You will be a constant failure. Then you are falling into absurdities and foolish efforts. Know that life is a flux, but somewhere within this change, there is an unmoving center. The wheel goes on moving. You don't see the axle that connects the two wheels together, the front wheels and the back wheels. So focus should be on keeping the axle, the center, in order, and you re-establish yourself in this center. That very awareness is enough to give you freedom, to give you taste of moksha or liberation. That very feeling that I am unborn, unmanifest, unmoving, liberates you. That is the truth. You know it and you remain indifferent to it. Do not fight with shadows. You cannot change it. Shadows are automatic. When light falls, shadows are formed. If you remain in the dark, then there will be no shadows. But you have to come in the light. And if light is not there, then you have to bring the light to that area. So shadows are natural to be formed. But be not bothered about the shadows. You always land in the dark side of the life. And the very purpose of the spiritual development is to bring the light to that dark corner. This is why India's focus was on to land on the south pole of this moon, where light has never reached. And when light has not reached, it carried its light of awareness, light of understanding, light of scientific research and growth. So what does a master do? You are in the dark corner of your consciousness. He tries to bring the light to you so that you enter into, you have to enter yourself into that, to roam around in the dark corners of your dark region of your consciousness with the light that is now dawning in you through awakening, through the efforts, and then everything will begin to change. Problems are created not by changing the periphery. They are created by the identification that I am this change. You have fallen sick. Illness is not really the disturbance. When you feel that I have fallen sick, it is a disturbance. If you can be a witness to illness, if you can feel that illness is happening somewhere on the periphery, it is not happening to you. It is happening somewhere on the periphery. It is happening to someone else, and you are a witness. Then death also can happen, and you will be just a witness to it. And that is what is so important, that you are the witness to all that is happening. I have heard Alexander was returning from India. Some friends had requested him to bring back a sannyasi, a recluse from India. They said, when you come with conquered possessions, don't forget to bring a sannyasi who is on the path of spiritual development also. We want to look at what the sannyasi is, what type of man renounces the world. We want to know what has happened to the one who has renounced the world, who has renounced all desires. What type of bliss comes to him, who has left all hankerings, thirst, hunger for future, for possession of things, etc. Just that moment, just at the last moment, Alexander remembered this. In the last town from where he was to leave India to go back to his country, he sent his soldiers to go and find a sannyasi. They went to the town and they asked an old man of the town. He said, yes, there is a sannyasi. He is a great recluse, but it will be difficult. It will be difficult to persuade him to go with Alexander to Athens. But the soldiers were soldiers. They said, you do not worry about it. We can force anyone. Just tell us where he is. We know how to force him, so there is no need to persuade. If Alexander tells, even the whole town will follow him. You will have to follow. So what about, where does the single recluse counts? But the old man laughed, and the soldiers could not understand, because they never encountered a sannyasi, a recluse who has renounced everything. They reached the sannyasi. He was standing naked on the bank of the river, and they told him, Alexander orders that you have to come with us. Every care will be taken. There will be no inconvenience for you. You will be the royal guest, but you have to come with us to Athens. The sannyasi laughed and said, it will be difficult for your Alexander to take me with him. No force in this world can force me to follow. You will not be able to understand, but it is better that you bring your Alexander. Alexander was disturbed. He felt insulted. but he wanted to see the man. He came with a naked sword and he said, "If you say no, immediately you will lose your life. I will cut off your head because I have never accepted no from anyone." The name of the sannyasi was, as it is reported in the records of Alexander, the name that was reported in Alexander's memoirs was Dandami. Sannyasi laughed and said, "You came a little late. You cannot kill me now because I have killed myself already. You are a little late. You can cut off my head, but you cannot cut me because I have become a witness." The same thing happened with Al-Hilaj Mansoor. When his body was cut off, he was laughing. "It is too late. You can cut off my head, but you cannot cut me because I have become a witness. So when this head will fall down on the earth, you will see it falling down as well. And not only you, along with you and your soldiers, I will also see it falling down. You cannot cut me. You cannot even touch me. So don't waste your time. You can cut. Please raise your sword and cut my head." Alexander could not kill that man. It was impossible and it was useless as well. The man was so beyond death. When you move to the center, you have reached that which is never born, never dies. Awakening means you reach to the center from the periphery where you become a witness. Whatsoever is happening, because the man is centered in his center, he has reestablished himself in the center. Whatsoever is happening on the periphery, his head is being cut off. He's talking all that is happening on the periphery. Alexander could not kill that man. It was impossible because it was useless. The man was so beyond death and it was difficult to kill him. You can only be killed if you cling to life. The man was not clinging to life either. One who is a witness, he does not cling to anything. He does everything. He allows everything as a witness. Things are happening around him as a witness. That clinging to the changing patterns, that clinging to the periphery, which is constantly in a flux, is mortal, is life. If you do not cling, you are as you have been before, because there was a life before you was born. There is a life that is when you are alive. There will be life even after you are no more. If you do not cling, you are as you have always been, immortal, never born, never died. Immortality, this re-establishment in your center, is your birthright. It has always been there. You became immortal only if you cling to it. The moment you sever all clingings, you have become a witness to it. So there is no question and there is no need to force any change to the periphery. There is no need, and you cannot make it static because it is constantly moving. It will go on like the wheel. Wheel keeps on moving, but the axle never moves. Everything that is visible to you as movement happens around the axle that never moves. All change happens around that which is unmoving, which is not changing. All that you can do is to know that you are not the wheel, you are the axle, and you are reestablished in the axle. That is the only thing that you can do. Once you do this, the purpose of the life is attained and you are a witness to it. Only this much for this morning. Until we meet again, take care and do have a pleasant day.